Here we have a stealth luxury reissue from Grand Seiko, a watch that has totally surprised me in person. I'm very excited to talk about the details of this SLGH005. In this video, I'll talk about the great parts about this, the not so great parts about this reissue, and share my opinion. If you have a question or a comment, please place that below. Thank you to Exquisite Timepieces for lending in this limited edition for a review. I have been working with Exquisite, a family-owned AD in Florida, for years. I borrow watches from them. I buy watches from them. They're one of the good guys in the watch market. So if you're shopping Grand Seiko, Seiko, any of the 60 brands that they carry, I definitely recommend them and have linked their store below. Now, this watch is a reissue of the 45 GS, the 45 GS that debuted in 1968. Now, that year was a great year, I think, to be a Seiko fan. It was also the year that the 6159 Professional Diver debuted, which was it wasn't their first diver, but it was really their first quintessential diver, their first serious diver with impressive specifications and original design language. I think that same excitement could apply to this 45 GS reissue, where Grand Seiko really dialed in on some visual aspects that have really come to define a good design from Grand Seiko. And I'm talking about the originality, the angular lugs, the wide polished surfaces, the tall applied markers. This really is distinctive and timeless. And again, the design goes back to 1968. The original was made in the Daini Seikosha facility, so you will see the Daini logo down below down below the hand stack on the dial. And this reissue, it goes down to the details of recreating that Daini logo, the proportions, the font, the off-white color, the shape of the case, the Soratsu mirror polishing. I think Grand Seiko just did such a good job in recreating the details, the magic of the original, which was one of their best sellers. They created the 45 GS for about 7 years. That's a pretty long production run. And although the original was 36.5 millimeters in diameter, this reissue is just a little bit bigger at 38.8. So it's almost 39. It's just a little bit bigger than the original. And I know some of you will dislike that, but me, I rejoice. I think that's awesome. I think the proportions are just perfect. My wrist is larger, and I like to wear my watches a little loose, but my wrist is 7.25 inches. And this size, the short lug-to-lug dimension, the relatively thin profile, this works really well without feeling too small or too diminutive, in my opinion. And that's a good thing, I think. So let's talk about the rebranding. So Grand Seiko, they rebranded in 2017, and they took their Seiko dominant logo off of the place of prominence on their watches, and then they moved Grand Seiko to the place of prominence. And I have to say, that was a smart move. That was a great move. I think that's a positive thing for this brand. But occasionally, reissues like this SLGH that pay appropriate tribute to a fantastic design from their back catalog, it's appropriate to bring back the twin branded execution, with Seiko being the dominant logo on the dial and Grand Seiko just kind of hovering in the background down below the hand stack. I think that is awesome. Seiko did their old school logo with this applied metal logo up here below the 12 o'clock marker. I think going in on a macro level, you can see the perfection of the dial, the subtle, warm, off-white color, the faceted, polished, applied markers, and again, even recreating that Daini logo down below the 36,000 designation. That is a fun Easter egg. Not only that, but the fit and finish of this case, of this alligator leather strap, I hate to be too positive here, but the fit and finish is immaculate. It's so good. Seiko even placed their vintage styled signed buckle on this black alligator leather strap, and that is another aspect of good attention to detail in celebrating the history of this model. But it's not just a throwback to yesteryear. It's not just a throwback to a great design from the late 1960s. Seiko has thoroughly placed this in the modern era with the 9SA4 high beat mechanical movement that you can see through this sapphire exhibition crystal. This has 47 jewels. It is a dual impulse escapement that they designed and patented. This has twin movement barrels that hold 80 hours of power reserve, which I have to say, that is impressive for a high beat movement. This has a blued power reserve indicator in the movement side, not the dial side of the watch. The movement has a free sprung style balance. It has variable inertia regulation, which is just fancy speak for small screws in the balance that you twist to move in or out and thereby adjust the inertia and regulate the movement. This is adjusted in 6 different positions, multiple temperatures. It's supposed to be +5 to -3 seconds per day static in a controlled environment, but Seiko guarantees +8 to -1 seconds per day while you're wearing it on the wrist in day-to-day situations. So not the best accuracy specs, but not the worst either. Now, I really like this traditional finishing. So you'll see striping and purling and black polished screws. I think this aesthetically is a very attractive looking movement, and I like how wide it is. It fills this case back perfectly. It's not too small. I don't think it's too big. So I like looking at it. I like the various technical aspects of the caliber. And I believe this is the first time since that 45GS that Grand Seiko has done a high beat hand wind. We've seen 4 Hertz hand wind. We've seen spring drive hand wind. But I don't believe we've seen a traditional high beat. And if they have, forgive me, but I can't recall one in the previous decade. So it's really quite exciting that Grand Seiko has released this 9SA4 caliber. Now, I mentioned this watch is limited. It's limited to 1,200 pieces. It is individually numbered, and that's displayed on the case back. And the retail price, as shown, is $9,700, so quite high. It's approaching $10,000. And I would say that this watch, it's for the Grand Seiko enthusiast. It's for that collector who appreciates the history of Grand Seiko, who geeks out like I do about the Easter eggs, the Daini logo, the recreation of the font, the perfect recreation of the 45GS case and all of that stuff. This is for someone like me, and I don't think it's necessarily for the first-time Grand Seiko buyer or someone who wants to see a Seiko dominant logo on a watch that retails for close to $10,000. So I admit this has a limited appeal. I think it's really for the most enthusiastic Grand Seiko collectors. And I will say that if this had a bracelet, some of those 45GS watches over the years had various styles of bracelets. If this had a cool Grand Seiko bracelet, it would be mine. It is the ultimate stealth everyday piece or dressy piece. The quality is just fantastic all the way around. It's special in person, and I hope that has been conveyed through the video here. I really like this release. I think it's strong, but I do think it is limited in who it appeals to. Like this video if you appreciated it, and please subscribe for more content like this. Subscribing really helps me with the algorithm, so if you could do that, I appreciate it. Thank you.